Okay, so now we're going to move on to our last speaker, and then we'll have the panel of speakers come up here and they can answer all questions. So the next speaker is Professor Claudia Benavente. She's going to talk about childhood cancer or retinoblastoma. Sight, more than any of our senses, helps us navigate the world around us. In a single glance, lasting a fraction of a second, our eyes work with our brains to tell us the size, shape, color, and texture of an object. Dr. Benavente focuses on a form of cancer that attacks the eyes of children called retinoblastoma. And she's going to tell us about her desire to understand the epigenetic causes of this type of cancer. Dr. Benavente received her PhD from the University of Arizona, specializing in cancer biology. She then went to perform postdoctoral studies at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, where she focused on childhood cancers, including retinoblastoma, like she'll speak of today. She was a Fulbright scholar and the recipient of the coveted NIH Pathway to Independence Award. She joined the PharmSci department in 2004. Her laboratory is interested in understanding the molecular and cellular mechanisms that drive tumor progression.
2014.
Sorry, 2014.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. You haven't been here for 10 years yet.
Yeah. And I'm actually not going to talk much about retinoblastoma, but I'll talk about why it's a good idea to study pediatric cancers, even though they're not very common. But all of you are probably familiar with cancer. You've all heard about cancer, and you probably know people that have been affected. But do you know just how big of a public health problem cancer is? If you're a woman, you have 1 in 3 chances of developing cancer sometime throughout your lifetime. You're actually 1 in 5 chances of dying of cancer. If you're a guy, you actually have much more chances of getting cancer. You're 1 in 2 and 1 in 4 of dying of the disease. So this is a huge health problem in this country and worldwide. It's second only to cardiovascular disease, and they're always fighting to that first place, which is not a good thing to do. Many of you have also heard the terminology of when someone has cancer, you're fighting against cancer. And did you know that this actually came about back in 1971 when Nixon signed the National Cancer Act? And this was all termed like the war on cancer. So now the scientists were all at war with cancer. But piggybacking on what Dr. Pond just spoke about, do you know that cancer is actually yourself? Cancer cells are actually your own body cells going rogue. They have blocked stability to die when they're supposed to die, and they just keep on dividing like crazy. And so this thought of you're going to go fight cancer, you're actually at war with yourself. So how about let's just restore cellular balance? Let's restore that harmony that Dr. Cohen was talking about, balancing death and survival together. Now, did you know that even though retinoblastoma, pediatric cancer of the eye, only affects 20,000 kids worldwide every year, it was through the study of this very rare type of cancer that one of the most important genes in cancer development was discovered, and that's the retinoblastoma susceptibility gene. So we're quite clever. We don't like to remember a lot of things, so the retinoblastoma is caused by a gene called retinoblastoma that it encodes for a protein called retinoblastoma. So you've learned a whole lot of cancer biology right now. Just know retinoblastoma, it's very important in cancer. And as a matter of fact, this protein regulates a pathway that is deregulated in virtually every cancer, not just childhood cancers, but also adults. And this is what a kid with retinoblastoma looks like. You can actually visually see the tumor in the eye. And this is the pathway that regulates. It regulates cell cycle, so cell division. But for many, many, many years, we thought that most cancers are actually a genetic disease. And you know, it was only in 2012 that the group that I belonged discovered that actually cancer is much more than just a genetic disease. And it was through the study of this very rare type of cancer that we found that cancer is also driven by epigenetics. And I'm going to take just a little bit of time explaining to you what epigenetics is, because you're going to start hearing it a lot in the news, because everyone 10 years ago started knowing about DNA and whole genome sequencing and how genetics is very, very important, but epigenetics is just as important. So think about this. When you're conceived, you come from one cell, and all of your DNA is now replicated, so copied exactly the same throughout all your cells. So you have all the same genetic information in every single cell of your body. How does the lung know that it's lung and it's not skin? How does your neurons are behaving like neurons and not like your pancreas? You're not having any insulin secreted from your neurons. That will be pretty bad. All of that regulation is actually happening through epigenetics. And it was, I just want to refer to the study of retinoblastoma that we were able to prove for the first time that epigenetics can be a main principal driver of tumorigenesis. All thanks to this periodic cancer. And so this is part of all these things that are highlighted down here is how you differentiate. Like this is all the epigenetic machinery that is being differentially expressed, and now I know it's like getting into big scientific terms. But those are the difference between brain, heart, muscle, and the thymocyte. Is like all the epigenetic machinery that's being expressed. And so through that, it actually allows us to have a different tool, a different target through which to try to treat and restore the balance in cancerous cells. Also, and I didn't start with this, but in general, cancer is a very common disease. But the vast majority of the people that are affected by cancer are adults, and the mean age of diagnosis is 67. So you're fairly well seasoned when you're likely to get cancer. And because the vast majority of people that get cancer are adults, the vast majority of the force in going into trying to treat cancer goes into studying adult cancers. In fact, only 4% of all the U.S. funding goes to try to come up with therapeutic approaches for childhood diseases. There's 60% of all the money that goes into cancer research and trying to find out cures comes from pharmaceutical companies. There's not a single pharmaceutical company in this country that does cancer research. A lot of times, even when we try to go and ask for drugs so we can test it on our pediatric patients, they'll say no, because it's too much of a public relations issue if anything goes wrong. So I do want to take the time to bring a little bit of awareness of where this comes from. But the importance, I mean, you could have said, well, you know, there's just a handful of kids that get cancer every year, so why would it be important? Maybe it is more important for us to be studying adult cancers. But I'll just show you that through the study of this cancer that is very, very rare, we've actually come up with great discoveries that don't only affect the retinoblastoma cancers that we're studying, but that are actually extrapolate to cancer as a whole. Retinoblastoma susceptibility gene actually affects every single cancer known today. And you saw that first little newspaper article where it says that when the bill was first passed, it was put into $1.6 billion to cancer research. The funding today for cancer research is $4.9 billion. That's 3 times what it was back in the day, but it has stayed the same for the past 10 years. So how you can help us move forward for cancer research is, you know, contact your people, your congressmen, your senators. I'm making a little bit of political speech here, but say, you know, you care about cancer, this is how you do it. Like, put money towards research. And nobody else. We can do some. Okay, and thank you.